more.
Welcome back to Co-Work Radio here on KZSB 1290. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show all about the modern entrepreneur. And each week we have a chance to interview two company founders. His voice might be familiar. I think you just heard him there. Dan Ferrick is with us today. He's the co-founder and director of Impact Hub here in Santa Barbara, currently working as the Central Coast Real Estate here in Santa Barbara and Gibbons White, Inc. from Boulder, Colorado. And first of all, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks for having me.
Oh, appreciate it's good to have you. And you got a great voice, though, by the way. Oh. I know co-working, it grew out of the need probably mostly for affordable office space, but it has grown to so much more. Has it surprised you, the growth of co-working?
Yeah, it seems like in every major market, it's taken over. Major market being big cities, LA, New York, London, the big cities. We saw a need for it in the secondary markets, the hip populations of 100,000 to 300,000 with, college town, good demographics. And coming from Boulder, there was 12 to 15 of those in a 90,000, person town. And when I moved to Santa Barbara here about 4.5 years ago, it's just like, what is going on here? We need some co-working.
Now, who is the typical co-worker, or does it depend on the location?
That's a great question, and it's something that I had to learn along the way. I took a poll, and immediately people think it's just young people in the space. And in our first demographic poll at the Impact Hub in Santa Barbara, we thought it would be in the late 20s, early 30s. It happened to be the mid-range age of a coworker was 43.
You were telling me that in the break room there. That it just absolutely surprises me. I know that you came from Boulder, Colorado, and the demographic must be different, and we'll talk about why that is in Santa Barbara. But my guess is probably not so in Colorado, or was it different there?
I would say there's a lot. There is younger demographic there. People familiar with Santa Barbara know that they come here too. There's a lot of retirees here, and then a lot of young people. So there's a gap in the middle compared to some of these towns like Boulder. However, when I talked to some of the members in the space, for example, Strictly Vacations, he moved from a big, huge, comfortable office, and Steve, if you're listening, you were kind of stalking us before we were open. You would come in and say, when are you guys opening? What's going on here? When are you opening? And finally, when we opened the doors, you snagged the last two offices on the first floor. And he downsized from literally 3,000 or 4,000 square feet, cushy offices, everything, to two very small offices. And I ask him every time I see him, I'm like, how you doing? He's like, fantastic. I love this place. And it's more of like an energy thing, because if you're isolated or you're working from home, you're kind of alone. But when you come into a co-working facility like ours, where there's just a lot of energy going on, you never know who you're going to bump into. You never know what kind of conversation you're going to have around a coffee table. And you never know what kind of businesses are going to be started.
Now, one of the interesting things I've noticed by interviewing people is they might have joined to get out of the coffee shop or to get out of the home. And now they're finding that they're making such great networking connections that they're finding that angel investor, which is taking their business to the next level. Are you seeing a lot of that?
Yeah, we're seeing that actually inside of our space to a few companies that I can mention. And that's the exciting part is – I'll give you one quick story. His name's Nick Koyama from Visual Era, and he rolled in, I want to say, in last July when we just first opened. And he said he was part owner of a coffee shop in Santa Maria, and he was looking to move to Santa Barbara. And I said, just stay here for the day. And so he stayed, and he said, at the end of the day, he said, this was such an incredible experience for me. Here, check out this video I just made this day. And he busted out his phone, and he had music to it and all this. I'm like, when did you do this? He's like, oh, just, over my iPhone. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was like, it was amazing. And so I looked at him like, I want you here. So I brought him in. I said, we'll do some kind of work trade, whatever, but I want you to be here because you're the type of energy I want in this space. Flash forward, Nick now has 2 big offices in the Funk Zone. He has a staff of I don't even know how many people. Jane, maybe you might know. And he has
I think 6.
6.
At last count, not including the ones who are working remotely.
Exactly. And he has an investor who jumped on board, and now he has a thriving videography business, and he's helping other small businesses market via video, which is his next big thing, he says.
We actually, we've had him on the show before, and he's so impressive and older than his age in soul. But we're talking with Dan Ferrick, co-founder of Impact Hubs here in Santa Barbara. We've asked this question before, but I'm just curious because you seem to have more of a day-to-day interaction with people that are co-working. One of our thoughts when we looked at the success of co-working, and we were looking at sort of the younger generation that is lost in technology so much, and this idea of actually really interacting with people. And you talk about the mid-age being 43, so that just tells me that the generations are feeding off one another.
Yeah.
So is the interaction at co-working spaces, do you think it has to do with, even though a lot of the businesses are technology, we're getting away from looking down and actually having conversations with each other?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's paramount to what co-working is. I think that like I said, you just walk into the kitchen any given day, and we have organic soup and fresh produce and, handlebar coffee in one location and French press in the other. And people are they're interacting like it's their house. It's something to be said when you're in some isolated office and you're just kind of working, right? And some people get bored and maybe they're checking Facebook and stuff. But here, if you're bored of the screen, just walk into the kitchen and strike up a conversation or have a slice of pizza on Wednesday when Pedro busts out our wood-fired pizza grill. So we do stuff like that. We have yoga and edu and foundation training. It's just a neat place.
Now, what about for people who are working full-time? Why would they want to join an Impact Hub or other co-working space?
As a member, I think it's an incredible value. Some people don't need an office, so they want to be a full-time worker. And entrepreneurs, as we know, don't have a set schedule. So if an entrepreneur has an idea at 2 a.m, guess what? You can come into our space. We have a nice little app called Kisi that opens the door late at night, and you can come work 24/7 with a full-time membership.
But there's also a social membership, too. So if I'm working full-time, my other job, 12 hours a day, I can still join and take part of.
Yeah, there's part-time memberships. There's after-hours memberships. So it's just...
Can I ask what the starting price is just for a social?
The starting price is for it's called a Connect membership. It's $60 a month.
Oh, that's not bad.
That gets you 2 full days of co-working, and plus each additional day is $20, and then you get free Impact Hub events.
And the fitness classes, they're all free.
That's all
and
free.
And the soup and the coffee and the tea, that's all. Well, that's a deal.
It's all free. Yeah.
And next, you're going to build some cots there, and people will never leave, right?
We have a shower in the Funk Zone, and the towels
Oh my
are gone.
God! Okay. And you can get
know.
one of those little Amazon 320 square foot cubicles you can live in now.
Why not?
As you're talking about the amenities and organic soup and the special coffees, is that something that is sort of unique to Santa Barbara? Because that sounds so Santa Barbara right there. Or is this happening in other communities where it's?
I could speak to what we're doing. I think it's an unusual connection we have with, Paul Orfila is a pretty well known guy in town, and he has a lot of connections that he hooks us up with. And besides him, there's several other people under our roof that has these connections. And we just, what our ethos and our theme of it is, we want people to feel very comfortable there. And when you're working and you want to take a break and you want some coffee, it's not going to be Folgers. We're going to support our local, really good coffee shops here. If you want an apple, it's not going to be from, some conventional sprayed Ralph's apple. No, we're going to get it from a CSA, a local farmer, and bring it here. That's what we do.
Well, that's great. That's building the community from the inside out. Now, I want to ask, because you have a lot of real estate experience, if I want to open up a co-working facility, do I need to have that real estate experience?
You don't need to have it. Anybody could open a co-working facility, per se. However, I believe that having the real estate experience and inking a long-term deal at a rate that supports your business model is paramount to our business success in the future. So I made it a point, at least on our first negotiation, it took me over a year to ink that deal. And I had to do a lot of convincing of the landlord and getting the price down and negotiating out triple net expenses. And, I can go on and talk to lingo, but we had to, location. I can't stress it enough that we had to be in the downtown corridor, but we could not pay the retail rates, okay? It doesn't fit our business model. So we got it down to where we could afford it, and we're in the right location, and, there's amenities all around us. There's parking. There's a bus depot a block away, and we're in the heart of it.
Is the fact that retail brick and mortar has not been doing as well, is that helping the co-working industry?
Yeah, I think it's going to completely take off in the next few years, because what we're seeing is Amazon is killing retail. The writing's on the wall. It's starting to happen. These big companies are going out. Look at Macy's downtown and Saks Fifth Avenue and, Kmart's and Sears. They're all going to have some steep competition with drones, right? Flying stuff to your front door. Why are people even going out there and shopping? So, I did a study, I want to say 8 years ago back in Boulder, about retail. And America was 7 times, I believe, the average per square foot of retail over like our European neighbors.
It will certainly be interesting to see what happens. Dan Ferrick is joining us for a little bit longer with Impact Hub here in Santa Barbara. I've wondered since this idea has taken off, if co-working was around, would Jobs and Wozniak have come out of their garage and into a co-working space, or are some things just formed?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. The idea starts in the garage, always. But then when there's a place most people stayed in their garages because they can't afford to go get a traditional office, right? So we make it so that anybody can come into a co-working facility for something that's affordable.
Oh, man, the time has gone so quickly. Dan Ferrick is here. Again, if you are interested in anything you talked about and you're not already co-working, impacthubsb.com is the website to go to. And fascinating. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And don't forget, TEDx. TEDx is happening.
Oh, we're going to be covering your events later on in the show.
TEW, Global Entrepreneurship Week.
You are listening to Co-Work Radio. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, also Facebook as well. And we'll be right back.
Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and you know what that means. A parade of guests, family and friends, in your home. Now's the time to get a jump start on your holiday cleaning. And 1 Hour Martinizing is giving you a special discount just for planning ahead. Bring in your blankets, bedspreads, drapes, and tablecloths now through November 30th and save 30%. Let 1 Hour Martinizing take care of removing the dirt, dust, grime, and lint from your blankets, bedspreads, drapes, and tablecloths. They'll get everything sparkling clean at a 30% discount. But hurry, offer ends November 30th. 1 Hour Martinizing with 3 convenient locations. Turnpike Center near Vaughn's, San Roque Plaza near the post office, and Montecito's Coast Village Center right near Vaughn's. And don't forget, now until the Monday before Thanksgiving, in celebration of friends and family, enter to win one of 1 Hour Martinizing's Thanksgiving gift baskets. Stop by any of their 3 locations to enter.